So you're a solo player, and you kind of want to get yourself a DFA through this week's GM Nightfall Insight Terminus, but I mean you don't really know what you're doing, and well, LFG kind of scares you a bit for GMs. But trust me, it's really easy. Just a few steps you gotta do to get there to get this crazy hand cannon. This is literally the DFA I got on my first try. It's honestly perfect in my opinion. Might drop a review on this weapon, I might not, I don't really know, but yeah, if you're a solo player want to do a GM, keep watching this video because this is basically a guide on doing that, since I don't really see many guides on, LFGing. I mainly see guides on three full pre-made team going into a GM, but yeah, this is going to be a little different. And so the first thing we want to make sure is just going over the build and things like that. So yeah, we'll be doing that first. So with any GM, you want to make sure you're kind of thinking about the modifiers for the week. So that's why I'm using Arbalist, Aisha's Embrace because it's Void, a Sky Rifle for Unstoppables, and Corrective Measure because it's Void, and it goes really well with my build with volatile rounds. And I'm using Controverse Hold with it, and here are my mods real quick. I'm using Elemental Armaments, Machine Gun Ammo Finder because ammo is really hard to come by, and a Resilience mod. Same thing kind of with Controverse Hold, another Resilience mod, Grenade Kickstart, and Elemental Armaments just for more wells, because wells are really strong in this build and they make a big difference. Here I'm using not any mega reserve mods, but I'm using Resilience, the Resistance mods, and Fonts and Might for more weapon damage. On the boots, I'm using a Scavenger mod, Well Tenacity to get a little bit of damage resist with all the wells I'm going to be making, and another Resilience mod because Resilience is really good. And finally, on the Bond, just another Resilience mod just to get me to that tier 10 Resilience, and Solar Fulmination because we're going to be stunning champs and getting ignitions with those stuns. So, I mean, after this season, there's honestly anything you could put here. But then I'm also using Seeking Wells because sometimes those wells are in weird spots and it's just nice to have them start making their way towards you, which is really helpful. With this build, I decided to focus way more on ad clear over really good DPS for the boss room, because in the boss room you're going to be getting pretty swarmed with enemies, and from my experience the boss's health isn't really that big of an issue. It's something that you can definitely chip away at, and honestly it's not as crazy as a health bar as some other bosses in my opinion. So that's where this LMG comes really in handy because of its Demolitionist and Threshold. So we're constantly getting grenades back, we're constantly getting our super, and honestly in my opinion I just spammed my super and I used my nades on every big clump of ads I saw, and I didn't really feel like I was ever wasting my grenade, but I might have been overusing them, if that makes sense. So for the aspects, obviously Chaos Accelerant, Child of the Old Gods, Echo of Expulsion to get those explosions, and then Echo of Remnants to make sure that Void Nade lasts a little bit longer and does a little bit more damage. And then here's the big one, is defeating an enemy with grenades grants volatile rounds. Volatile rounds with this LMG are insane and honestly carried me through the last sector. So you want to make sure that you get a build that you know is either good this season or that you're confident with and no builds into this GM well. So I really like using this Void build, and I know that this GM was Void, but for last week's GM I was using Osmiomancy gloves because it was Proving Grounds, and I also used the Fusion Grenade build for Warlock. Another important thing with GMs if you're LFGing is checking your teammates' loadouts and not being afraid to tell them that they're missing something or maybe they should change something, but don't try to micromanage your LFG teammates. Just give them a suggestion, when you inspect them before loading in, because well, there's some odd loadouts that people use out there. And my very first run, which is the run that you'll be seeing, I had someone running 6 Coyote on Solar, which I don't know why. I think there's better things, but I mean we made it work. We cleared the GM in 18 minutes, and that was my very first run. And that's why I'll be showing that, because I was with another Void Warlock, and honestly I was expecting to be the only Void Warlock because I thought everyone was going to be on Solar. But it was really nice to see that build variety, and always just be ready for any sort of loadout with your teammates. Don't try to cherry pick necessarily, because some people are really good with their loadouts and they might surprise you with how good they can be and how they know how to use them. But yeah, I'm going to go right into the GM gameplay. I might commentate over certain areas I thought were kind of difficult, but yeah, it's just going to be the full GM run coming up, and yeah. Alright, so right when you load into the gym, you just want to make sure you hop on your Sparrow and just head right into the, the start of the entire strike, because those harpies are there. You don't want to really worry about them. They don't really do anything as long as you don't stick around too long. And from there, you'll just go riding down this tunnel for a little bit, and then you'll encounter some small adds, but nothing too serious. Just a couple grenades, a couple shots from your primary, and you're good to go. Here's where you encounter your first anti-barrier hobgoblin. What I like to do with Arbalest is kind of just wait until they pop that barrier and then just shoot it right away, not just spamming Arbalest shots. And then here I decided to switch to LMG just to start pelting down this anti-barrier, because, well, shouldn't be conservative with the heavy ammo. I know at some point in the GM I decided to be because I used a little too much, but better to be safe than sorry. So here I just kind of shoot at some adds in the back while shooting at the hobgoblin just to get my nades back, and yeah, kind of just rinse and repeat with the nades and shooting at the adds with the volatile rounds, and always making sure you don't let the anti-barrier guys get their shield back while using Arbalest. Here I almost did get kind of low, but I mean, it's always good not to panic and put yourself in a bad spot, but I almost did, but I always made sure I backed up before, making a bad decision or anything like that. In this room coming up, you just want to make sure you spam as many nades as possible. I threw those nades down there just to get my volatile rounds going and hopefully start shooting at the boss right there. And then just to get him to pop his barrier and then keep shooting him back down. The volatile explosions do pretty good damage, honestly, in my opinion, with the machine gun buff. So it's honestly a really nice combo. And then there, you got to remember your teammates are always there to help too, so you don't got to feel like you have to do everything in the strike, because right there they popped his barrier and basically killed him while I was like reloading and things like that. But from here, in this point in the strike, you're good to leave the area. I thought there was a champion because my teammate kind of stayed back, but there's not. We got platinum at the end anyways, and yeah, from here you're good to keep going. And there's gonna be some ads in this hallway. You just want to make sure you play it safe. This guy was honestly just finishing all of them, which is pretty cool, but I mean, it's not necessary. In this room coming up, you just want to make sure you shoot the boss so that he does his little explosion thing and gets out of there. And then here you're just going to want to make sure you stand on the plate, and there's going to be ads just funneling through. You want to make sure you kill these ads as fast as possible before you get overwhelmed or anything like that. And I mean, this is where my build really starts like showing off, getting the nade kills, getting all sorts of kills just with the abilities. And then here 2 champs will spawn, but I mean, if your team has all the mods and everything, you can feel free to super them just to play it safe. My team ended up using all of our supers, but you don't really need them in the next room, if I'm being honest. Like, I built up my super really fast too, so it wasn't really an issue to me. Honestly, in this GM, my super is just another ability. It's not something that I'm conservative with. I'm just really saving it for whenever I feel like I kind of need it. Just a heads up on this spot, people do get hit with loading screens sometimes, so here you'll see I just look back, my teammate's still stuck, and you'll want to avoid starting the encounter until everyone's kind of in this one spot. And then this guy took a little long with going there because he was probably a little confused, but he ended up dying in the goop right there. And you want to make sure you avoid that because, well, yeah, I mean, imagine wiping because of just some environment thing that honestly in my opinion is pretty dumb. But yeah, here I just kept waiting until everyone got through. But once everyone was through, I mean, here it's just a lot more ad clearing. There's going to be a couple of champs on the left, But I mean, with this build, you're just going to make sure you keep spamming those nades and using your cover properly. Here, I'm waiting to shoot my LMG just to make sure I get the volatile rounds, do enough damage, pop the barrier, just rinse and repeat really with this area. I do mess up in a couple areas here, but my teammates do pick up the weight. You just have to make sure you trust your teammates and try to put yourself in not a horrible spot if you ever do die. And then here you want to make sure you shoot the boss a couple times to make sure that he ends up teleporting away. Here, there's just going to be more ads and champs spawning. There will be ads that spawn behind you, but they aren't really much of a worry because they don't really stay there. They jump away immediately. So using this area for cover isn't a bad idea. If you do have a well, I mean, you can play this area a lot different. But we didn't have a well, which is honestly pretty helpful because with a well, this would be easier probably. As you can see right there, that's one of my first mistakes. I hopped up to throw a grenade and I instantly died. You know, that tier 10 resilience, as strong as it is, doesn't make you invincible as much as I wish it did. And then right here, my teammate starts rezzing me. You want to make sure you type in any callouts if you guys aren't using any sort of mic, because you know sometimes people see that you're dead and they're like, oh god, he's in a horrible spot, I'm not even gonna go for it. But I was typing right there that the res is free, and I mean from there, just keep killing the champs, just keep playing everything safe. Up here, I just felt like using my super because I saw the anti-barrier guy and I knew one of our teammates was carrying the spark and he didn't really feel like dropping it. So I didn't want to risk anything and we immediately kill him. More ads are going to spawn on the other side of the room now. So me and my team just decided to stay on this side of the room, kind of play it safe and just kind of chip away at some of the enemies over here because there's really no reason just to rush over there and just die. I mean, eventually I do make our way back to the spot we were in, but from where we were, I really felt like we were doing fine because I was using a scout rifle. Most of them were using scout rifles too, and so we just kept picking at the champions. At this point in the run, I'm also saving my heavy ammo because I wanted to have some for the boss room and I didn't know if there was going to be any more available. You always want to be checking for ammo all over the floor and everything like that, just in case you do miss any. But I'm not sure if I missed any. Heavy ammo drops are just atrocious in this strike. But I mean, yeah, nothing too difficult here. I almost died again. Tier 10 resilience saved my ass. That's why tier 10 resilience is so important. If he didn't shred me like that, we would have been able to pop his shield. Didn't really matter because our teammate ended up supering. But I cannot stress enough how important tier 10 resilience is. It's really going to save your life a million times. And from here, I didn't think there's going to be more at spawning. But I mean, a few more did while I was looking for ammo. But I mean, no real issues, honestly. Right there, I did choose to use my Nova Bomb because I felt like I was about to get overwhelmed, and I mean, I wasn't really using the Nova Bomb for anything else. I didn't really see any reason to say use a Nova Bomb on the champ because they're really easy to stun, and sometimes I just start to overwhelm without really noticing. It can happen pretty suddenly, so I just played it safe and popped the Nova Bomb. Here, there's going to be two champs that spawn on the opposite side of the room, and this might have been where my team struggled the most. Because, I don't know, they try to play a little bit more aggressive and push up on the champs. I'm not sure why. Here I get more heavy ammo, thank God I found more. Because I don't know what would happen if I didn't find any more. But here, I mean, one teammate, I think our hunter eventually gets smoked here by one of the champs. Because he tries to push up way too much. But if something like that does happen, here, there, he does die. He almost went to orbit, which really scared me, honestly. But You just want to make sure you keep poking away at the champions, make sure you're playing it safe, and yeah, I mean, just try not to panic too much. There, our hunter does die again. You want to make sure in any sort of GM that you do have a limited amount of revives, and make sure you aren't burning those. I mean, this GM isn't necessarily extremely hard. There's not a lot of chances where your revives will get burned, but I mean, we do have 15 in total, like towards the end of the strike, but sometimes those revives can get pretty like drawn down by just getting like by bad plays, honestly. And you just want to avoid that because you don't want a GM run to go bad because you ran out of revives. Here, after dunking this final orb, this is gonna open up with some more ads. I just charged up a nade, or I don't even remember, honestly. I just used an ability to make sure that these ads didn't just accidentally kill us. But then our teammates went in, finishing them again. No issues, honestly. There I did find more heavy ammo too, thank God to that heavy ammo scavenger and the finder. You just want to make sure you use that. But if you're using a rocket launcher, just make sure you're a little safer with your ammo, because you want to save a couple for the boss room or on the boss itself. And then coming up here, I remember I forgot to get like something of my teammates' builds. So I think I stopped for a sec real quick just to see my teammates' builds. The Warlock's using something really similar to me in the CONTRAVERSE hold build, and then the Hunter was using like I said earlier, like some like weird like solar dodge thing. I don't know what he was really doing there, but I mean, it was working for us. Here, I honestly panicked a bit because I was in my menu, but there was nothing really to worry about. You're just running through here. There's just a couple ads you'll have to fight through. And at this point in the strike, I made the mistake of going ahead without our teammate being there. I should have waited, honestly, but because yeah, our teammate was pretty far back. But I went right into the room. I didn't really think about that. Not a ton of ads spawn right away. Just the boss is kind of just doing his thing. But then ads will eventually start spawning from those teleporters in the back. And this is the part where you could either get overwhelmed or just easily clear everything, because depending on how your teammates play, they might get, picked off just like that. You just want to avoid things like that because this is a GM where stuff can kill you really easily. So that's why I burned my Nova Bomb again, just to avoid any issues. And from here, you just want to pop your supers on him if you want to. I mean, it's not going to take a huge chunk out of the boss, but you have to chip away at the boss no matter what. Our teammate does go in for the res at some point. Yeah, I don't know how he didn't die there. If I'm being completely honest, that was super risky, but it works. Honestly, if it works, no issues. That's how things go in these types of nightfalls. Another Nova Bomb gets popped on the boss. He's getting low. At some point, more ads do start spawning, but you just want to make sure you're staying away from the gladiators, which probably gave me the most issues here, because those guys are pretty tanky for being red bars. It is a GM nightfall after all, but they are really tanky, and about like 3 or 4 of them can be coming at you at a time. So you just want to avoid getting overwhelmed by them too, and using your heavy on them instead of the boss or anything like that. Here I did shoot at the boss for a bit just to get him out of his back into the tube or whatever thing where he stopped shooting at people, but I didn't do enough damage, which is fine. He doesn't really do a lot of damage. You just want to avoid getting hit by his blast thing. At this point in the strike, the boss went back up and you're having to stand on 3 plates. In my opinion, it's better just to wait to stand on the 3 plates, because each plate that gets completely charged up, more ads spawn, and that might be a little too much sometimes for the team, because, well, depending on how many times you ran this, you might be ready for that, it might not be, it really varies. Like I said earlier, this is my first run, and I decided to Nova Bomb there because I felt like it was necessary. I didn't charge up my nade there completely, which is kind of a mess up on my part, but I mean, no worries. The gladiators started really coming for me, but I mean, you just gotta keep playing space, keep just staying away from them, and understanding that they might one-shot you if they do hit you, and that's really scary. Like right there, if I didn't have tier 10 resilience, I'm dead. No questions asked right there. I would have been dead, but thankfully we're not, because I mean, with all the changes this season, GMs aren't as one-shotty anymore, if that kind of makes sense. Here we're coming up on the second phase almost of the boss. Ads are just going to keep spawning. It's going to be basically like the first boss's health bar. There might be more ads than before, but I'm not exactly sure on that. I can't confirm. But I mean, it's just the same thing. Just keep playing your space fine. Keep, avoiding the gladiators, which will just come running at you. I think I do die here around this point. I genuinely have no idea what I died to. I just think I exploded. Like, that's genuinely what I felt like. I felt like I just exploded out of nowhere. But I mean, yeah, the boss's health is getting pretty low. Thankfully my teammates were kind of poking away at them while I was trying to clear ads, which is really nice to have. At this point in the streak, we were trying to kind of DPS the boss down. That was causing a good amount of ads to spawn, which I don't know if we were ready for that or not, but I mean, at this point the boss was pretty low. I think I don't see its health bar right now, but it was definitely below half of the third bar at this point. But I mean, I was still trying to focus on the ads, trying to avoid, trying to get overwhelmed. I was just playing it really safe. Obviously, you can definitely just DPS the boss down at this point, depending on how confident you are with your team. It really just varies. Depending on how many runs you've done with a certain LFG group. See, this is where I just kind of instantly die. I didn't really know what happened. But like I was saying with the LFG group, at some point with an LFG group, you run something enough times to know what you guys can do. And, well, the runs will go smoother, definitely. They definitely did for me with these guys. We did a couple more after this. And I think this one ended at about 18 minutes and something seconds. The next ones were, I think, like 16 and then 15. So we definitely went faster, and, well, all the other DFAs I got were trash. So, I mean, the first run ended up being the best for me. But yeah, I mean, here, still just more ads. At this point, I just kind of committed to killing the boss. I almost died for it, but I was trying to get as many volatile explosions as possible. But yeah, at this point we were just DPSing down the boss, and right there we get the kill. Right there we get the DFA and Nezarek Sin. Right there I go and inspect the DFA. I did not think I was going to get this god roll right away. I was so happy that I did, because usually my GM luck is horrible. With the Silicon Aroma, I never even got the snapshot opening shot roll, which really sucked. I did that GM probably like 15 plus times. And yeah, make sure you always say GG's to the team, and yeah. So yeah, that was this week's Nightfall, the Insight Terminus. If you enjoyed this type of video, I know I mainly play PvP, but this type of video is pretty fun to make, honestly, because I know a lot of people like to do or want to do GMs but are scared of going into LFG, just because that type of stuff can be a little make you nervous, that's for sure. When I started doing it, I didn't like doing it either, because I always thought that if it went wrong, everyone would just leave and you'd never get a run done. But that honestly doesn't really happen anymore with how strong builds are in this game now, and people kind of understand if you wipe, that's all good. Just if things were going good, just go again, you know, like mess ups definitely do happen. But yeah, if you enjoyed this video, feel free to drop a like. If you want to see another GM video like this every week, I'd be happy to do it, but I don't know if I'll make another one of these. It depends on if people find this video helpful. But yeah, I'll be dropping a review on the DFA here soon, because this is kind of a god roll in my opinion. But yeah, peace.